Welcome to Beyond the Platform, Sigma 360's exclusive interview series where we explore innovation in risk screening and compliance. I'm Bernice Chan, Product Marketing Lead at Sigma 360, and today we'll be discussing a technology that's really changed how we think about risk screening, generative AI. So today I'm joined by Jonathan, our data and product solutions engineer, who brings a lot of expertise in AI integration and also is currently building GenAI into our platform. Jonathan will dive into what works, what doesn't, and what's next with GenAI and compliance. He'll also share how Sigma 360 evaluates our models for robustness and reliability so that you can trust what you can get. So, Jonathan, let's begin with the basics then. Why should we add GenAI into our compliance workflows in the first place? And what screening problems does GenAI solve?
Yeah, it really comes down to alert volumes. The number one problem we hear from investigation teams is that there are too many false positive alerts, and each one has a lot of information that needs to be manually reviewed and decisioned. This is a very time-consuming process. Of course, machine learning has been used for a long time to help classify matches at scale, but it's very limited in its ability to review unstructured information in the same way a human would. LLMs, on the other hand, are really good at reviewing unstructured text, and it's pretty straightforward to put some instructions in a prompt and have the LLM do some predefined tasks with reliable consistency. LLMs obviously aren't a replacement for human investigators, but they are really great co-pilots that can process enormous amounts of information quickly to help prioritize human attention on the most material hits. We're seeing an investigator with an AI assistant can handle 10 times more volume with higher consistency and less effort than a completely manual process, and believe this is absolutely the future of regulatory compliance.
Well, that definitely paints a pretty clear picture of the challenges. It's great to hear that there's a good way to augment the screening process and handle much more volume than ever before. So now when you talk about LLM assisted screening then, what does that actually look like in practice? Can you maybe walk us through what the solution would seem like for our listeners?
The ultimate goal is handling a higher volume of alerts with the risk team an organization already has, instead of throwing more humans at the problem. What this looks like in practice is breaking down existing investigative workflows into small steps that can be clearly defined and measured. There's a number of tasks that are very repetitive and time-consuming. These are the first place LLMs will step in to automate. For example, looking at a search name and a match record and trying to determine, is this a match or not, right? The same thing with risks, particularly in adverse media and unstructured text. Look at this news article. Is my entity materially risky in this news article or not? Perhaps, yes, this article is risky, and the LLM decides to escalate it to a human. By summarizing all the articles into a concise risk profile first, it can save the L2 analyst a lot of time. Additionally, a lot of our clients spend quite a bit of time writing very repetitive reports in a standardized format. LLMs can automate the writing of these reports or the first draft of the reports, and that's been saving our clients a lot of time already.
That's great. That sounds really promising, actually. But I imagine that the implementation process isn't really without its challenges then. What are some of the main challenges that you can think of that organizations would face when they implement Gen AI in their workflow?
Yeah, the core challenge is ensuring reliable, consistent, accurate, and auditable outputs by these AI systems at scale. We're already at the point where LLMs can perform very well and do most simple tasks in an investigative workflow with very high precision. It's not a problem of LLMs not being good enough or not advanced enough, but of developing software tools and code that wraps around these AI systems to provide transparency and oversight. Some key questions that we find ourselves asking frequently are, how can we build evaluation systems that accurately assess the quality of LLM outputs at scale? How can we provide users with visibility into the decisions that an AI is making, so it's not just making thousands of decisions that are never reviewed by someone? How can we ensure there's no bias, right? When you're working with globally diverse clients or screen names, like that's a very important question. And what is the ideal interface for a workflow for risk teams to oversee and review LLM decisions? What does that even look like? And how can we facilitate humans teaching LLMs, how to handle different cases to further automate, the process, and so that these systems learn over time? These are some of the central questions we're focused on as we're developing, AI solutions in the product.
Definitely, these are pretty important questions to keep in mind in your day-to-day. So I'm sure we're also wondering then, how can organizations overcome these obstacles that you're thinking of? And what is your approach then to addressing these questions that you brought up?
Yeah, to develop AI systems that are empirically accurate and consistent, we need to test them across huge samples. For example, tens of thousands of globally representative, names. Um, of course, you need humans to review some outputs, but it's impractical to have humans manually review thousands of outputs every time a modification to the prompt or hyperparameters is made. This is where evaluation frameworks come in and accelerating the development cycle of these models. Of course, LLMs are good at processing large amounts of data, and it makes sense for them to be involved in this evaluation process, but it's important to maintain human oversight, meaning having humans in the loop when the model isn't 100% confident, and always auditing some percentage of AI decisions. Um, as these systems gain popularity, we expect most organizations will review everything the LLMs do. Then over time, as these systems learn and confidence in the systems grows, a smaller and smaller percentage of LLM outputs will need to be manually reviewed.
Got it. So speaking of this evaluation and oversight, then this is clearly something that you've thought very deeply when you were building AI at Sigma 360. So can you tell us a little bit more about how specifically Sigma 360 evaluates and provides oversight of our GenAI models?
Yeah, as we just discussed, we use a human-in-the-loop training framework where analyst feedback continuously directs the AI model training process. We also have a rigorous model qualitative evaluation framework that considers 11 different dimensions such as coverage, relevance, objectivity, to prevent things like bias and hallucination and ensure relevance, conciseness, correct reasoning, instruction following, things like that. We also evaluate the evaluator and have models designed to find flaws and poke holes in our evaluation process. This creates an arms race-like situation where the models contending with each other make all parts of the system stronger. This gets pretty complicated pretty fast, but we understand the need for transparency and auditability and make sure to support model risk management teams with clear documentation on model design, performance, and governance. We're also committed to ongoing independent model reviews so that we can ensure they continue to perform as expected.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty strong framework, just including human in the loop, but also evaluating the evaluator, which are both really important things. So moving on, evaluation is one thing, but data privacy and security are also equally important concerns for people who are interested in using Gen AI. So how does Sigma 360 ensure data privacy and security when using Gen AI for risk screening then?
Yeah, we run models in our own VPC, ensuring model providers never have access to user data. We also let clients host models in their own environments, so even we don't see their data.
Got it. That makes sense. So we have covered a lot of ground today, Jonathan, from just the problems Gen AI solves to implementation challenges and just like oversight and compliance challenges as well. So before we wrap up, if you had to give our listeners just one compelling reason why they really should adopt Gen AI in analyst workflows, then what would you say?
In one sentence, AI enables better, faster decision-making by automating tasks and removing alert backlogs. Systems are being developed to ensure LLMs are transparent, auditable, and defensible so they can fit into and augment our workflows in the future.
Well, that's definitely a powerful summary. So thank you for sharing these insights, Jonathan, into the future of Gen AI in compliance. As you really have demonstrated, Gen AI really isn't just a tech upgrade. It begins a large shift in how compliance teams can really start to think about tackling the increasing complexity and also huge volumes of risk screening that will be in the future. So if your business is ready to experience how GenAI can transform your compliance workflow, visit us at sigma360.com to schedule a demo. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn for more insights from our Beyond the Platform series, where we'll continue exploring the future of risk screening. Thank you.